A shifting climate, our planet in flux. Our planet's climate is changing. This change is not a new phenomenon. Earth's climate has naturally fluctuated over millennia. However, the current rate of change is alarming. We are experiencing long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns at an unprecedented pace. These shifts are evident in rising global temperatures, melting glaciers, and more frequent extreme weather events. These changes are not merely abstract data points. They represent a fundamental alteration of our planet's delicate balance. This alteration has profound implications for life as we know it. Understanding the causes and consequences of this accelerated climate change is paramount. We must act decisively to mitigate its worst effects. Our collective future depends on it. The human factor, fossil fuels, and a warming world. At the heart of the climate crisis lies our dependence on fossil fuels. Coal, oil, and natural gas have powered our industries and fueled our economies for centuries. However, their extraction and combustion come at a steep price. Burning fossil fuels releases carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. These gases act like a blanket around the Earth, trapping heat and causing the planet to warm. The consequences of this warming are far-reaching and increasingly dire. Rising sea levels threaten coastal communities and infrastructure. Extreme weather events such as hurricanes, droughts and wildfires are becoming more frequent and intense. These events displace communities, disrupt livelihoods and strain resources. The delicate balance of ecosystems is disrupted, leading to biodiversity loss and habitat destruction. The science is unequivocal. Human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels, are the primary driver of this accelerated warming. We can no longer afford to ignore the consequences of our actions. Transitioning to cleaner and more sustainable energy sources is not just an environmental imperative. It is an economic and social necessity. Trapped heat. Understanding the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect regulates Earth's temperature. Greenhouse gases trap heat from the sun. This keeps our planet warm enough for life. Human activities have enhanced this process, causing excessive warming. This disrupts Earth's energy balance, threatening life. Emissions break down sectors driving climate change. Global greenhouse gas emissions stem from a variety of human activities. The energy sector, encompassing electricity generation, heat and transportation, is the largest contributor to global emissions. Burning fossil fuels to generate electricity and power vehicles releases massive amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. The transportation sector, heavily reliant on oil, is a major source of emissions, particularly from road vehicles and aviation. The agricultural sector also plays a significant role in greenhouse gas emissions. Deforestation, driven by agricultural expansion, releases carbon dioxide stored in trees into the atmosphere. Livestock, particularly cattle, produce methane as part of their digestive process. Rice cultivation releases methane into the atmosphere. Industrial processes, including cement production, steel manufacturing, and chemical production, release significant amounts of greenhouse gases. Cement production, for instance, is a major source of carbon dioxide emissions. These sectors collectively contribute significantly to the global greenhouse gas burden. Addressing emissions from these key sectors is crucial for mitigating climate change and transitioning towards a more sustainable future. 1.5 degrees of separation, a critical threshold. Limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius is crucial. This target, enshrined in the Paris Agreement, is not arbitrary. It represents a critical threshold for catastrophic climate change. Limiting warming to 1.5 degrees would have profound implications. It would reduce extreme heat, heavy precipitation and drought. It would limit sea level rise, protecting coastal communities. It would reduce risks of irreversible changes in Earth's systems. Section 6. A glimpse into the future. Projected warming scenarios. Scientists use climate models to project future climate change under different scenarios. These scenarios consider various factors, including population growth, economic development, and technological advancements. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the leading international body for the assessment of climate change, has developed a range of scenarios to explore potential future climate pathways. Under a high emissions scenario where greenhouse gas emissions continue to rise unabated, global temperatures are projected to increase by 4 degrees Celsius or more by 2100. This level of warming would have catastrophic consequences, including more frequent and intense heat waves, droughts, floods, and sea level rise. Under a low emissions scenario, where aggressive mitigation efforts are implemented to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, global warming could be limited to below 2 degrees Celsius or even 1.5 degrees Celsius. This scenario requires a fundamental shift in our energy systems, land use practices and consumption patterns. The choices we make today will determine the climate pathway we follow and the future we bequeath to generations to come. Section 7. A Blueprint for Change, the Sustainable Development Goals. In 2015, the United Nations adopted the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure peace and prosperity for all. The SDGs provide a comprehensive framework for addressing the interconnected challenges facing our world, including climate change. Goal 13, Climate Action, specifically calls for urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. However, climate change is not an isolated issue. It is intricately linked to other SDGs, such as poverty, hunger, health, water, and ecosystems. Addressing climate change is essential for achieving sustainable development, and achieving the SDGs is crucial for mitigating climate change and building resilience to its impacts. The SDGs provide a roadmap for a more just, equitable, and sustainable future. By working towards the achievement of these goals, we can create a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive while safeguarding the planet for future generations. Section 8. Confronting the Crisis, Mitigation and Adaptation. Addressing the climate crisis requires mitigation and adaptation. Mitigation reduces greenhouse gas emissions. This includes cleaner energy, efficiency, and reducing deforestation. Adaptation adjusts to climate impacts. Strategies include seawalls and drought-resistant crops. Section 9. Financing the Future, Sustainable, Green and Climate Finance. Addressing climate change and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals requires substantial financial resources. Sustainable finance, green finance and climate finance are interconnected concepts that play a crucial role in mobilizing capital towards a low-carbon and climate-resilient future. Sustainable finance refers to the incorporation of environmental, social and governance, or ESG, factors into investment decisions. Green finance specifically targets investments in clean energy, energy efficiency, sustainable transportation, and other environmentally friendly projects. Climate finance focuses on financing mitigation and adaptation actions to address climate change. It involves mobilizing funds from public, private, and alternative sources to support climate-resilient development. Governments play a crucial role in providing climate finance through public funding mechanisms, such as the Green Climate Fund. They can also create enabling environments for private sector investment in climate action through policies and regulations. The private sector is increasingly recognizing the risks and opportunities associated with climate change and is becoming a significant source of climate finance. Section 10. A Call to Action. Securing a Sustainable Future. The climate crisis is not a distant threat. It is a present reality with far-reaching consequences. It is a crisis that demands urgent and collective action from all sectors of society. We have the knowledge, the technology, and the resources to avert the worst impacts of climate change and transition to a more sustainable and equitable future. The time for complacency is over. We must act now to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, invest in renewable energy, promote energy efficiency, and adopt sustainable land use practices. We must also invest in adaptation measures to build resilience to the unavoidable impacts of climate change. The future of our planet depends on the choices we make today. Let us choose to be the generation that takes bold action to combat climate change and secure a sustainable future for all.